So, despite being largely panned by critics, 2023's The Super Mario Bros. Movie was really just a global phenomenon, delighting family audiences on the way to earning nearly $1.4 billion worldwide at the box office. And now, the highly anticipated sequel is taking audiences out of the Mushroom Kingdom and into the wider galaxy. Does it keep the good times rolling with another crowd-pleasing family film? Or is it just an empty play on audience nostalgia, as many critics have suggested? I have seen it, so let's talk about it. So, if you're new here and weren't around for my review of the first Super Mario Bros. Movie, I really liked it. Yes, it was a flawed film, but I just found it to be really enjoyable. And I will say, I basically feel the same about this movie. As with its video game source material, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is very short on story, but very heavy on fun. I think leveling up the series with an even bigger and more epic adventure that is just jam-packed with entertaining action and fun references to the video game. Now, whenever there's a significant gap between the critic and the audience scores for a movie, as there was for the first film, and I think surely will be for this one, there are always people who want to frame that as something almost sinister. But I think the reality is much simpler, and that is just that there is a difference between a movie being good and being enjoyable. Is the Super Mario Galaxy movie good? Not necessarily, at least not as some sort of sophisticated thematically or emotionally deep work of cinema, but is it enjoyable? Absolutely. I think this movie is a blast. As a movie reviewer, I do feel some responsibility to point out the obvious shortcomings in the script and the story, but as a father of two young kids and a guy who still knows every hidden block location in a 40-plus-year-old video game, I'm also just willing to give this film a few extra one-up mushrooms to look past its shortcomings. As some of you may know, in the video game series, Super Mario 2 is the oddball with its sort of unusual development path, resulting in a shockingly bold and radical departure from the original game. As the second entry in the movie franchise, the Super Mario Galaxy movie does pay homage to the game in, I think, plenty of fun ways, but it mostly charts the opposite path. It doesn't really offer audiences anything new. Instead, it is jam-packed with really as many familiar elements and Easter eggs as its 1 hour and 39-minute runtime can handle. If there is anything fresh to be found here, it is its vastly expanded scope from the original with new worlds and locations. The film contains really near endless references to the Super Mario games, but also just to the wider Nintendo canon. Which means step aside MCU, because clearly we're heading toward a NCU, that is a Nintendo Cinematic Universe, with the appearance of non-Mario characters like Star Fox and Pikmin, surely leading toward an Avengers-style cinematic event of a Super Smash Bros. Movie, which honestly would be pretty awesome. Now, I liked it quite a bit, but the Super Mario Bros. Movie was short on story, and the Super Mario Galaxy movie may be even more flimsy. Obviously, Nintendo has spent 4 decades without venturing far beyond the Save the Captured Princess from Bowser plotline, focusing on fun levels and environments more than narrative, so perhaps this should just be expected. But still, there's just an unavoidable hollowness to this story. And to me, the main problem is not just the simple narrative itself, but that even more so than the first film, there's just an almost total lack of relational dynamics or emotional connections between the characters. The only time that characters seem to actually interact is when they're just fighting bad guys side by side. They repeatedly help each other, but there's just little sense that they need each other. And classic characters like Yoshi are introduced, but the film makes no attempt to build a connection with him and the other characters, or really even to the audience. And perhaps the most meaningful relational connection is between Princess Peach and the newly introduced Rosalia, but I'm not sure that they speak more than 10 words to each other in the entire film. With its very relentless pacing, the film repeatedly sort of skips forward to the next action scene or video game callback, leaving the characters feeling merely well, like some silent video game avatars simply racing from level to level. That being said, and despite like any semblance of character development, the Super Mario Galaxy movie checks most of the other box of being a great and like satisfying family film. The movie is bursting with vibrant colors and just really gorgeous animation. I think its nonstop pacing will be entertaining for young viewers, and its wholesome story and like absence of really any concerning content makes it a winner for parents as well. As a father myself, I do respect films like Pixar for wrestling with like deeper thematic material and just understanding that children can handle more than us adults often give them credit for. But you know what? Sometimes I don't need an animated film to walk my children through like the 5 stages of grief. I just want it to divert their attention and make them smile. I think this film is no more or no less than just pure, simple entertainment, and I think I'm good with that. As far as content to consider, things going on the surface of this, like I said, really nothing at all. For language, there is no profanity, although there are a few like rude words like shut up or suckers. For violence, really nothing here either. You do have several Koopas, which are like the turtle-like evil minions, that get turned into dry bones, like skeletons, or smashed apart, but no character ever seems to like suffer serious damage. For sexuality, Mario's like romantic interest in Peach, as well as Bowser's infatuation of her, is like shown or like comes up in banter all throughout the film, but again, it's all very harmless. The only other kind of like content stuff that just stood out to me is there is one scene that takes place in essentially like a casino with various like Mario styled slot machines or like card games that are being played for gold coins. And also several of the characters do possess some sort of like ambiguous magical powers, and with one of them wielding like a magic wand and kind of together being able to transform a desolate landscape into one filled with very like lush greenery. As far as themes, worldview, things going on beneath the surface, let's be honest, the main theme in this movie is just that Super Mario games are awesome. But I do think like beyond that, there is sort of an interesting thematic through line just of identity. In various ways, like each of the main characters question just who they really are. Peach, she's like a beloved ruler, but questions where she came from. And Mario balances sort of his newfound status as a hero with his identity as just being an ordinary plumber. Surprisingly, it's arguably Bowser who gets like the most interesting internal development in this way, because he has sort of begrudgingly become friends with Mario and like, all the other good guys, despite his very villainous past. But the arrival of his son, Bowser Jr., causes him to question some of those loyalties and whether or not he has been a good or bad father for instilling some of those like destructive tendencies in his son. And the characters each sort of navigate that question of identity in different ways, for good and also for bad. Bowser ultimately slides back into villainy, choosing to identify more with like where he came from rather than like who he knows he should be in the present. But thankfully, Mario, Peach, and some of the other good guys come to realize that they are defined more by like their choices than their past, where they may not like feel like a worthy ruler or capable hero, but they can act as one by choosing to help others. Now, the film doesn't offer very many like ready-made spiritual applications of that message, but I do think that general message of just choosing right over wrong, even when faced with like outside pressure or even self-doubt, is a wholesome one that parents can talk through with their children. In the end, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is, I think, another crowd pleaser and arguably the most faithful like a video game has ever been adapted into a movie. Not only because of the iconic characters or like the endless Easter egg references, but I think because it effectively translates like the essence and experience of playing a video game onto the screen. Just the like frantic action or the joy of discovering quirky new worlds and even just like the comforting, escapist, diverting entertainment. Simply put, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is just a lot of fun, and I think for most family audiences, that's probably all that they want. But hey, I would love to hear what you think if you take your kids to go see this movie this week. Don't be shy, jump into the comment section, let's have a conversation about it. If you haven't done so too, I encourage you guys, subscribe to the channel, become a collider. Got lots of other movie reviews, got our Faith and Pop Culture podcast, got interviews, just other fun stuff. Would love to have you guys be a part of that. But most of all, guys, thanks for watching, stay safe, and continue to collide with the world for Christ.